It's streaming and now it's recording also. Hello again. Right, there we go. So, welcome to the second go at our first official dev stream. I decided to bring a special guest to make up for the fact that I didn't record it the first time. So, welcome to Darren, or Infodocs, or Skyhiatrist if you know him on IRC. There we go. If you don't know who Darren is, he was famously you were one of the first people actually processed through the Irish courts for hacking in Irish court history or something. I thought I saw a headline like that.
Yeah, I was never able to find any earlier case before that. So I think either the first or maybe there might have been a quieter before, but I was never able to dig up anything prior.
So you're in the history books, in Irish legal case history. Darren was part of lulzsec. Obviously, 50 Days of Hacking was the thing that they were best known for. We've lost your bright light on your screen, Darren. You're less well lit all of a sudden.
Oh, I'll sort that up.
There we go. Perfect. So I thought the fun thing to do, seeing as we're going to essentially go over what Off Grid is about and have a look at the game, would be get Darren in to chat through some of his previous exploits and what some of the content in Off Grid reminds him of potentially, have a little interview and go through what we've been up to, but also how it relates to hacker culture and the scene in general. Your webcam really is awfully positioned, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck puts a webcam down by the keyboard instead of, at the top of the screen where they're supposed to be?
I don't know. Well, without you disclosing what make of laptop you're using, we won't ever know, will we? Cool. So I will... I suppose what I'll do is I'll bung a bit of Off Grid on the screen, and you can see the Twitch stream, all right, Darren. So you're able to sort of comment and jibe about the game as we go, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I should be able to see it anyway.
Cool.
When it pops up.
So I suppose the other thing to do while I'm getting the game launched is, like, Darren, can you tell us a bit about yourself, what you're up to now since all of the shenanigans and the court proceedings and the kick down doors and all that kind of jazz?
Working very hard at not having my doors kicked in.
Yeah.
I do security consulting and shit like that. Something like that.
Yep.
Generally stuff that's not crime.
Yep. Generally.
I mean, I heard this vicious rumor that they take a very dim view of crime.
Yeah, I believe they are a little bit upset if crime happens, especially if you've already been crime done list made.
Once check that one off the bucket list. So other stuff.
Cool. And my name's Rich. I'm one of the devs behind Off Grid. If you haven't caught us on Twitter, or this is your first time checking in, Off Grid is a hacking game, a stealth hacking game, where you basically hack IoT devices that are terribly vulnerable around buildings in order to profile the inhabitants and socially engineer them. The catchphrase is "Data is your most powerful weapon," so that maybe gives you a bit of an impression of what it's all about. I'm just trying to get everything loaded up quickly, so let's see. I'm going to get a load of weird game audio coming over the top, I would have thought, before I get it going 100%. Here we go. So Darren, do some filling. Have you got any good jokes or any any questions while I just try and get the game running?
Yeah, so like, how long's the game been in dev for actually? Never quite, because I know that you at least, I mean, you had and seemed to be working then. Like, how's the process of it being a thing that's being made happened?
Yeah. Well, I guess we started prototyping it in 2013. I guess I had the first idea for making a game about data privacy and making mesh networks and leaking docs actually when you were at the height of your hacking spree in 2011. I was at like I was at a conference. I was at the, do you know the Internet Society? You know the New York chapter of the Internet Society run a big INET conference in New York. Have you heard of that?
No, but New York's a bit out of reach.
Yeah, fair enough. But I was over there at that, and it was a lot of fairly benign talk about implementation of IPv6, which at the time was only just on its way, and lots of domain ICANN kind of tear-inducing boredom discussion. But Evan Moglen was there basically telling everyone how we'd completely lost the internet and it was over. And
Like,
he basically was like, yeah, that the internet's gone. That it's gone to all the people who are sorry, I'm just trying to sort out the game. All the people who want to monetize it way too much, you know, all the people who want to data mine you, all the governments who want to essentially own your data for profiling you in the future. So he was essentially kind of giving us all this impression of the internet was over back in 2011, and I was like, well, let's make a video game about that, I suppose. And you lot, with what you were up to, were obviously quite inspiring from that perspective as well. Right, sorry, I kind of got a bit distracted there because we're trying to work out why we've got a bit of a lag. Sounds like there's a bit of a lag on the stream. Unfortunately, I've checked everything I'm doing, and all I'm using the internet for right now is speaking to Darren and putting this up to all you guys. So apologies if we've got a bit of a lag. There's not much I can do about that. It's down to rural broadband. But yeah, what I can do, however, is get the game on. So add window capture, add existing hangouts. There we go.
oh, well,
Right.
that is some lag.
Yeah, is it sort of?
So the Hangout stream seems to be a solid, like, 5 minutes of buffer behind.
Dear.
So I've no idea how that sounds to people watching the Twitch stream, like if it's perceptible to them or not.
Yeah, I
But
wonder.
it's kind of really fun. It's really bizarre seeing like a 5 minutes ago version of me on the screen.
Oh well, that should be fine. Like the lag is a case of just the stream. It hopefully doesn't mean that they're able to hear me talking to you, and then 5 minutes later you answering. I think we're all right. I suppose actually, maybe people in the Discord can give us a shout as to how awful it is and whether I need to try and fix something, or if it's manageable. But what I can do is I can actually get us over to the game anyway, and you and I can have a look at that and hope in the meantime that people are seeing some of it. It might have been because Obscure Moth was trying to check the stream from the same network connection. So now that she's not, it might actually have sped up and be okay. So what I will do is I'll turn off the hacker soundtrack, which is in the background, and switch us over to the game, which should transition into the background now, and that should have you and I there.
Something's happening.
Yeah, it looks like that's all going on. So, yeah, well, Darren, I don't think I've shown you the game in quite some time, like maybe at CCC, not last one at Leipzig, but down at Hamburg. Is that the last time?
No, the last time I think I've seen it was actually, like, the last time I saw the game, I think was Sha.
Okay, yeah.
Or, I mean, I saw some.
Still a while ago, but last summer. Yep. Cool. Well, this is. Can you see it all right on the screen?
At the moment, I can't see anything. I can just see the background image.
Yep.
I'm wondering is my
your stream will be kind of about 4 or 5 seconds out of sync, but that background image should be gone now. Oh, you mean the blue background image?
Yep.
Oh, right.
Which browser window am I meant to be looking at? Which one?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's still on the blue background. Wow. That's a long way out of sync. Well, it might be best if I close Twitch. I'll close all the things that I've got open, such as Twitch. And I'll keep Discord open so that people can maybe ask questions. If anyone wants to ask questions, I'll try and answer them or keep an eye out for them on the Discord in the Hack the Planet channel. I'll just write ask questions here. Yeah, if anyone else can keep an eye maybe on the chat in Twitch and ping me questions or repeat them in the Discord, then we can go from there. So I'll just continue closing things down. So is it still so far behind that you can only see the blue screen there, Darren?
Currently seeing the blue screen and a buffering.
No.
Okay, yeah, still blue screen. And your kind of disembodied head talking with no words.
And you, hopefully, as well, should be in that.
Yep. There's like a smaller window with...
Lee says, why don't you have a shoe on your head? 'What's the answer to that? 50 Bitcoin. Right. Well, I mean, we are going now, so I think the one tricky thing is you're not going to be able to see very much of the game to comment on it if the stream is that far lagging. I'm not sure what kind of an answer I have for that. It's basically just shitty rural broadband has let us down.
And I thought they had a rural broadband scheme to fix that.
Yeah, no. But I think at one point they were flyering me as to whether I want a satellite connection instead.
Oof. Satellite connection, Jesus.
Yeah, not very good. So, oh, right, yeah. Lee says he's got you 50 Bitcoin and he's risen you a pint of Guinness onto that as well. I think Darren probably wants a transaction to clear before he takes his shoe off. Cool. Well, I think what we can do is I will talk about the game, and at the same time, you can ask me questions about what I'm talking about. I'll sort of describe it. So we're basically in the back alley of an investigative newspaper's offices in this level, and we've been asked by the editor of that newspaper to essentially break in and find a journalist's documents and leak them ahead of them being arrested on terrorism charges. So essentially there's a little bit of an aping of the whole David Miranda, Glenn Greenwald old shenanigans there, and that's the premise for this level. Just realised I could pull up chat and then buffer every 2 minutes. I don't really know what to say. I think what we'll do, Darren, is you and I maybe just continue streaming, and it's recording anyway, so at the very least what I can do is I can upload
the recorded
version.
Okay, I'm still trying to figure out this fucking weird webcam angle. It is freaking me out, man. I mean, where? There we go. That is significantly less bad. I mean, could they not just... Yeah, but newspaper office.
So yeah, basically you've got an investigative journalist who's being held at Heathrow Airport on terrorism charges, and you've got to get to his docks before a morning raid.
So you have to go acquire them before they disappear into the hands of GCHQ or the Met or whatever.
Exactly. So there's this little setup that essentially you're being guided by a hacker who knows a little more than you do. You play like a sort of technophobe dad whose daughter has been up to shenanigans, and she's been through what you've been through, which is the forces that be came and didn't quite politely knock on the door and bundled her off, and so you're left as a player kind of not really sure what to do, what's going on. You get this phone call from someone who is purportedly one of Jen's hacker crew, and all of them have been simultaneously raided, apart from this one guy, and he has gone into hiding, and he's got his emergency USB with tails on it and a couple of keys to important things, and he gets in touch and says, I'm in hiding, essentially I need you to help me work out what the conspiracy is and what's going on, because I'm pretty sure that your daughter hasn't done anything specifically wrong, but we've all been targeted. And so that's the premise, that's the setup. You play this noob who has a hacker friend guiding you through learning to hack in order to be able to leak docs. So yeah, we have this... It's difficult explaining to you when you can't see anything and then playing at the same time, but I think we're doing okay. So we've got this conversation that's going on at the minute in like a crypto chat app. It's sort of like Signal or something similar. Essentially, you exchange keys with other characters, and then they can converse with you, and that's how you get guided through different levels. And then,
I can now see some gameplay, by the way.
Oh, cool. So that's like a full-on 3-minute lag, isn't it?
Oh, probably. I just realised, oh, it's come up.
Cool. Well, I mean, at least you can see something, and then as I keep playing, you can ask me some questions about what you see, and I'll keep describing what we're up to. So, like, the core mechanic of the game, and you would have seen this when we were at Shah, is this data view is what I've kind of called it, or Spectrum is the app, and it's like a kind of Wireshark packet sniffing, but in AR. So you can visualize the data networks around a building that you're connected to. So it starts with you only able to see data that's being used over 4G. And then as you get into the building and escalate your privileges, you can get onto the Wi-Fi network and then the admin Wi-Fi network. And you can find different devices that are connected to it to either SSH into or find data that the NPCs are leaving lying around unwittingly that you can then use against them.
So you get to be the Department of Lost and Found Docs.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So, like, at the minute, we're walking through this first room, and there's a guard who's asleep on the table, and he's left his security card out. So we just scan that with our phone, and it downloads the NFC data on it, and that allows us to get through. If I can look at it right, because it's a bit buggy. Get through the first security door because we've got his security clearance. So, hopefully people at home can hear, there's a little voiceover of one of the guards chatting about what's going on with this journalist who's been arrested. But essentially what we do is we kind of we make our way through the building and we have to try and find devices that are embedded devices using at first the GSM network. So the first thing that happens is if we turn on like our data utility tool here, we actually walk into the bathroom and we receive a text message from the hand dryer saying this bathroom is powered in part by DryTech personal hand errors. Be sure to like us and share on Facebook. So straight off, that kind of gives us, oh, well, this device is using GSM, which means we can connect to it probably. So then we whip out one of our other tools, which is a little SSH tool, and that basically looks for connections, obviously, on port 22 to start with, that might be vulnerable to having default credentials on them. So in this case, we're looking straight at the hand dryer that sent us a text message, and it says password is known or not required, and that's because it's using admin or admin password or some other default. So that lets us SSH into the back, and we get like a kind of N-curses style sort of IoT backend, sort of Linuxy terminally window for, you know, kind of maintenance settings, basically. And the first thing that we can see in it is that it has the users, so all of the guards that are in the building who have used this bathroom, their phones and therefore their names have been logged on it, because this is a smart bathroom, because we're living in a world that's full of stupid IoT stuff. So basically the premise being this smart bathroom requires all of the NPCs to wash their hands before it will let them out.
Oh.
So that's something you can fuck with.
Does it also know what you had for breakfast?
So yeah, I haven't done that yet, but I was thinking of having toilets that are like assessing fiber levels in the guards and stuff like that, because they exist. You know, there are health toilets that are on sale in places where they analyze, you know, some of the basic chemical elements of your excretions to tell you whether you're eating the right stuff or not.
Probably sells it to advertisers so you get ads for food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe. In fact, they like, instead of that Amazon button thing, they'd have you know, just directly they could tell you're low on fiber, so you've stopped eating raisins, so you must have run out, and then just makes an automatic order for raisins for you.
Oof.
What do you think?
That'd freak me the fuck out.
So in this one, like at the moment, the hand dryer only knows who's used the hand dryer, and then it lets them back out of the room. But it also has some system information, and it has continuous test mode. And we actually received a text message earlier in the game that I skipped over, that essentially says the main security gates in the lobby are going to be locked, and there's guards patrolling around there. But as always, there's an air vent that's often left open by mistake, and so you go to the bathrooms to try and find the air vent. It turns out that it's closed, so in SSHing into the hand dryer, you turn on the hand dryer's continuous test mode, and it starts heating the room up. So although we didn't have access to the IoT thermostat, we start heating the room up, and that turns the thermostat up, which means that then the air vent that was closed opens up for us. So a little bit of a stealth trope, but essentially the sort of first most simple puzzle is get through the air vents by IoTing some stuff.
So it's kind of like almost like something from Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
In terms of like the whole vent crawling thing, but with added shenanigans to get the vent, you know, the handy unlock vent into that state.
Yeah, exactly. Hand dryer to air vent attack vector. So yeah, there's then this sort of, I suppose what I haven't explained is the whole idea is you've got this set of Google Glasses that you've been given by your daughter, and that's why you're able to use this IR thing where you can see. Oh, it looks like Jonathan is asking about where we're answering questions. So basically, for anyone who's interested, I'm answering questions or looking for people's questions in the s01ep Games Discord, which if someone from the Discord could maybe post an invite link into the chat, that would be handy. I basically can't have Twitch open at the same time as running the stream and it not completely kill everything. So yeah, if you've got questions, please ping them into the Discord.
Is the stream online on Twitch? Oh, and it's back.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, so just there, and oh wait.
So well, let's keep going. It looks like in the Discord a few people are asking starting to ask a couple of questions, so I'll keep an eye on that. So where had I gotten to, Darren? I was saying something about you've got this set of Google Glasses, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've been given this set of Google Glasses, and that's what you're able to visualize the packets through. So it's like AR for Nmap or AR for Wireshark.
That sounds like something that I could have a lot of fun with.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can try it for real. Jonathan is actually saying that he thinks that there's a stream bottleneck. I mean, I think it's... Encoding makes it still too big to be carried over the current connection. Basically, I mean, I don't know how laggy this will be to be able to answer your question, Jonathan, but I think this, oh shit, I'm about to get tased now as well. I'm not paying enough attention to the game. I think the reason that we've got such a bad lag and buffer is literally because I've got the Google Hangouts call coming in and then a rural broadband connection trying to upload the stream. So I think it's just the connection, but and the configuration settings aren't any different to last week when I streamed. So if last week was okay, the chances are this is just unfortunate rural broadband problems. But yeah, let me know if you've got any ideas for settings you'd like me to tweak, and I will make an attempt for sure. So yeah, basically we're kind of rolling around the levels with this AR view where we can see the data on different networks. We can profile the data. And basically you're downloading the messages that the guards leave behind, and you can start to use that to profile their behavior. So you can find out if they are a fan of a particular vending machine in the building by the kinds of things they talk about. You can I'm gonna get past this guy. You can then spam them. Oh, go on. What have you got?
Oh, in the stream, it just for iteration of the stream that I'm watching, I've got I see exactly what you mean now by the spectrum glasses.
Oh, cool. There you go. Yeah. So the other thing I'm doing is like collecting the data as I run around. So Jonathan's asked a question in Discord: will every conversation be formatted in correct, proper English? No internet speak. That's a good question. It's a balancing act, really. I think it depends on which character is talking. I think the majority of the straight-edged characters will probably speak in correct, formatted, grammatical English, even if it isn't how people text, because it's a video game and you need people to be able to read it and understand it easily. Oh, you've gone dark again, Darren.
Oh,
there we go. You're back. Yeah, I mean, there'll certainly be some internet speak. It's just a tricky balance because you want it to be understandable, and also understandable by people who English isn't their first language. So yeah. So the other thing that I've got going on here is, as we kind of downloading data and kind of running through the level, we start to be able to profile the characters. So here we've got this Dave Coleman guy. We've collected that his favorite food is an apple and his first name is David, obviously. But we can start to use that kind of data or metadata that we're collecting on NPCs to our advantage. So in this instance, we've made it down to the server room that we need to get to in order to get onto the Wi-Fi network. And we need to get onto the Wi-Fi network to then discover where the journalist's laptop is. But the problem is, like, the server room has been locked up properly, so we're locked out, and there's no way of SSHing into the console that's in the server room. They've got it all configured smartly enough that we can't get in. So we got to find a way into the server room, and by looking around the room, we see that there's actually a laptop on one of the desks, but it says not enough information to guess passwords. So we can give it a go, but basically SSHing into it isn't going to work because this isn't using default creds or a known password. So the next question in the off-grid world is, well, what other IoT devices might be around us? And here we've got a basement smart TV that has got default creds on, so we just SSH into that. And this one's kind of a nice example because I essentially just took the Vault 7 leak about the Samsung smart TVs and took a load of their real API calls and bunged it in the back-end window for hacking into this Gamson smart TV that we have. It should just be Gammon TV, a big ham TV. And then there's this, basically on it, there's a Weeping Angel XE, which I don't know whether you remember, Darren, but Weeping Angel was the turn on the microphone on Samsung TVs without the light coming on thing that the CIA had developed and that was burnt in the Vault 7 leaks. So the idea is that someone has got this malware on this TV already, So we go to conversation pass, and it looks like it's recorded a conversation. We can disable the persistent listener because we don't want it listening to us. And then in the conversation it's picked up, it says, well, first things first, the password to your work laptop is temp pass for intern 123. Change it as soon as you log in, not least because you're working in the IT department, and that actually gives you all the security key access levels sat on your machine so that you can burn replacement ID cards for staff when they get lost or stop working. Now, the second most important Fingos Luncheon error target proximity to mic. So we can download that file, and then if we go into our profiling settings, we've got this Vicky Melrose character and temp pass for intern 123, which is there for us, ready to get into the laptop belonging to the intern that we saw earlier.
I mean, that's arguably a better password than winter 2018.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Who was it that was doing that? The whole obfuscation that they did was, we just make it the wrong season, make it the opposite season. Oh yeah, but no one will guess this because in summer, I'll say winter. Oh well. So we can now SSH into this laptop that the IT intern is using, and we use a little password cracker which pumps the password that we have in, and that opens up the shell to that laptop, and we're able to download the access key for the server room. And so then that should get us through here. So what can you see on the screen at the minute, Darren?
Right now I can see the Diane, Rich and Pontus haven't washed their hands today, but Jonas and Mark have excellent hand hygiene.
There you go.
Yeah, I can see it's SSH'd into the social users thing.
Cool. That is quite some delay. Well, we're doing all right here. So we've basically gotten into the server room now, and we have physical access to the server terminal. Over crypt chat, Smedley, who is the hacker that's helping you out, basically says, we've got do you remember that little USB thing I gave to you in that package? Well, it's called a rainbow ducky, and essentially you're using this little USB to be able to physically access different devices. So if it's got a USB port, you can own it with that device. So in this instance, we get to the server terminal, we go into our inventory and we pull out that USB, we bung it in, and that allows us to SSH. That pulls up the main window so we can check for updates on the server terminal, and we can add a device to network. And just the lag is so bad that I answered a question in the stream about 2 minutes ago in the Discord. I'm being asked to answer the question because it's so far behind.
I wonder how, hopefully it all syncs up and it doesn't just have really bizarre, out of context nonsense.
We'll see. I mean, it looks like Shadow is following along. Well, we'll keep going. As I said, I'll publish the recording. He says he's currently at the vent.
Yep.
So
through the vent now.
That was probably for me. That was like, that's got to have been 4 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago. I'll upload the recording.
Why is
Well-
that helpful? Not exactly the right time for selfies.
What's that? Is that on some of the data on the screen, or?
The crypt chat. Oh shit! Now we've got a whole bunch of data.
Cool.
Um,
I think we've lost. Oh, there we go. I've got audio back on the game as well. So can you see like the profiler app and us kind of collecting the data as we go through and how some of that works?
At the moment, it's buffering again, but
Okay.
he's looking at some data, and the bit of data he's looking at is a crypt chat message from Smedley to Joe. Character's just kind of standing there chilling.
Okay. Well, I think what I'll probably try and explain at the minute is you've got this set of apps down on the left-hand side as well. So can you see that in the bit that that you've got on screen at the minute?
Mm-hmm.
So the apps.
You got SSH connection.
Yeah, there you go. All that kind of stuff. Some of them are kind of silly. One of them's like a light monitor, so like a classic stealth game. I don't know whether did you ever play Metal Gear Solid 3, the one that was set in Vietnam?
Yeah, I never did get around to playing that one.
That was pretty cool. That was called Snake Eater, and that was probably my favourite of the Metal Gear Solid games. But essentially, you had like a camo level. Like it told you how hidden you were in a little monitor, and the concept we've taken is that like basically the camera on your Google glasses or your AR glasses is picking up the light levels in the room and gives you a percentage of how hidden you are. So it's sort of got that same sort of thing. So we kind of using the technology of the Google glasses or the kind of AR glasses to give you information about the environment that you can use in a more traditional kind of stealth sense, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That makes, yep.
But the fun thing about these apps, and I suppose that's something I haven't mentioned in the stream yet, is that all of the apps and all of the hackable devices and actually pretty much everything in the mission, all of the conversations in the crypto chat thing, they're all written in Lua, and they're all just exposed to the owner of the game to tweak and mess around with and mod and play with. So, and you don't really even need to know any Lua. I mean, you'll know this from poking and prodding yourself, but Lua's pretty straightforward to get to grips with. Wouldn't you say? It's kind of Python-like. Darren, I was just wondering if you'd had any experience messing with it.
With Lua?
Yeah, with Lua.
Yeah, no, I've played with Lua a bit. For writing nmap scripts and stuff.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Okay, the audio just dropped a few times there, I think, but yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, no, I've done some stuff with Lua for writing NSE scripts.
Okay. So is that because nmap? Oh, there isn't a GUI interface for nmap, is there?
There's ZenMap, and there's a few other shitty GUIs, but really you want
The raw shit.
Yeah, you want the command line shit, because
The reason I asked was I wondered whether the reason you were doing Lua stuff for scripting nmap was something to do with someone had developed a tool that had used Lua to extend the GUI or something. But it's just that Lua is a convenient language for doing some tooling in that instance.
yeah, because Lua is tiny.
Right.
The interpreter is very small and straightforward.
Okay.
So it's handy for just doing, because it's embeddable.
Yep.
I've also played with Lua a bit before in the past.
Mhm.
For other stuff, because it's just it's a really nice language for doing stuff, and you can embed it. Like if you want to make, just fucking use Lua.
Well, we chose to use it obviously because video games that are moddable tend to use it a lot anyway. So like you've got that kind of reference point for people to have pre-existing knowledge and start making things, even if they don't know anything about your game. If they've modded other things, they might be familiar with some of the things available to them. But also there's kind of a cute sort of poetic romanticism to using Lua to write hackable devices in Off Grid, because technically each device that you write up is its own VM, it's its own Lua VM. So all the fictional devices that you hack into, so like for instance, in this level we're at here, there's a printer. Like we found the journalist's laptop, but it's in a safe. We can't get to the safe, it's locked. But in looking around the room, we see that there's a printer that's got a password that we can easily guess. And of course, the printer is it's got safe password delete me.txt in the printer logs. So we download that, and that gets us into the safe to the like this journalist has been really clever and you know done the right thing and air gapped their laptop, but unfortunately they've left the safe password for the air gapping in the logs on the printer, so it didn't help. So yeah, that gives us access here. But I guess what I was sort of saying is, like that printer is written in Lua, and therefore technically it's its own virtual machine. It has an inventory. It has I/O. You can script data in the game, and you can put little Lua scripts on the data that you send and pass around the level to different devices. So you can write little Lua payloads for certain types of device. So you could write, you might be able to write a piece of data up to be a worm that propagates across devices all named something similar, or with the same string in the name, or all devices on a given network, or whatever else. So it's quite nice that Lua kind of offers that flexibility for us from the modding perspective, but also I just love the fact that they're technically little computers inside a fictional video game, which is kind of fun.
Put some computers in your computers.
Yeah, exactly. Someone actually on the Discord the other day did post a Yo-Dog meme exactly at the same time as I was explaining that. Oh, here we go. We've got another question. Jonathan said, "Sorry for getting you tased." Yeah, you did get me tased. It's all right. Reading the Discord questions is important. So, what's your next one? I wasn't there last week. Yeah. Rural broadband is not suitable for a dev stream. It was good last week. It worked last week.
Your neighbours are probably downloading something or watching Netflix.
Yeah, it's probably the time of day. I mean, maybe next time we'll do it later at night, and then that'll give us the opportunity to hopefully have better up speeds. But anyway, I technically have fibre, but it's that whole rural thing of rural fibre where it's actually only a bit better than broadband, regular broadband speeds.
It's made of it's not made of optical fibres. It's actually made of string.
Yeah, it's actually because it's rural. It's made out of straw. That's what it is.
So it's like twisted pairs of straw with like a can on each end.
Yeah, I mean, well, the pipes are the width of 2 hay bales is in order to try and transfer as much data as possible. Is what it is.
The bit on the sheep, innit?
So I guess what we could do is I've kind of shown some of the basics of the level, and I'll just roam around. We could sort of chat a bit about you, and I could ask some questions about like, how did you get into hacking? I think like a lot of the people who are fans of Off Grid will hopefully be people who haven't really experienced hacker culture yet, and it's something that we're inviting them into, and they're starting to get an experience of. So what is it that got you into not just like messing with computers, but hacker culture itself?
I'm not really sure. Like, messing with computers, it was almost certainly, like, a lot of it was games.
Yeah.
I used to play a shitload more games than I do these days, because games and Linux don't get along, but it was
We'll fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been testing out Steam's Play thing, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing like, kind of got into it a lot because I liked games, but I didn't like paying for them. So I think it was, I remember trying to figure out, like, well, the software's all there. Why the fuck should I have to put in a license key? You know, when you get the disk and you do the install. I figured out that other people had, you know, written software that gets rid of the license, shit like that. And I wasn't interested in just using some shit somebody else did, though. I wanted to figure out how they did it.
Interesting. So, because I think most people of our generation have messed around with password crackers, but not many people then go on to try and reverse them and work out what they're doing under the hood. So that was your kind of entry point then. Yeah,
it was, how the fuck does this thing work? The same with, like, when I got into messing with computers belonging to other people, shall we say, as opposed to just the shit in my own computer.
Yep.
It was, you know, a lot of it was very early flailing around, but a lot of it as well was, okay, how does this actually work?
Yeah, because I mean, do you mean as an operating system or as a...
Both. So, like, some of it, I think, like, I remember, I'm not going to give too many details, but I remember when I was fairly young, I distinctly remember getting a shell in a weird box, and I'd no fucking idea. You know, it was one of these things where it's like, wait, this is new. What the fuck is this? And it was some weird fucking old Unix variant. And I was like, well, I've no fucking idea what this is. Now I have to go look it up, and there's kind of something to it, you know. Or when you're pissing about with something and something's not behaving the way it should be, and you end up having to do a lot of digging around and looking up shit. You know, and you eventually start piecing together an understanding of it, and it's building an understanding. It's like a big it's like a puzzle, basically. Like big, really interesting puzzles that, like million-part jigsaws with no picture on the box.
Yeah.
It just tickles that kind of little OCD bit. Or whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of really sucked me into it.
And so then, like, was it that kind of thing that then moved you onto forums where more kind of black hattery was going on, and therefore kind of sharing tips and tricks, and just mainly out of general interest, then kind of sort of slid you into that grey area that most hackers who end up in the dock sort of seem to stumble into?
Something like that, yeah. Like, I mean, I was eventually, you know, would end up chatting to other people, doing shit with other people, and then for some fucking bizarrely stupid reason, politics got involved.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously? Fucking politics?
Well, you know, that's actually one of the questions I was going to try and go on to a little bit, was like, obviously as part of lulzsec there was a lot of lulz, but there was a big political impact as well. And like, was that something that you sort of, the hacks seemed to evolve into that, and the HB Gary thing sort of was funny, and then it turned out to have actually a big global impact that wasn't necessarily obvious straight away? And was a lot of that stuff just, it kind of happened by chance, and by accident, and then it became a political thing, or you were already kind of fairly politically minded at that point?
So everyone tends to give a completely different answer to this one.
Yeah.
Because everyone has their own view on it and their own reasoning for it. Like a lot of us were fairly, like I've been involved in a lot of fairly political stuff, like a lot of the online protests around the time of the Arab Spring, Operation Payback, the Assange bullshit, all that crap was all strict. That was all politically very political. And initially, like for some at least, speaking for myself here, like doing when switched over to the lulzsec thing, at the start of the 50 days of shenanigans, it was like, we're gonna do this for fun, not for random fucking politics reasons. That quickly went to shit because turns out you can do both.
Yeah.
Why not both?
Yeah, and actually have a bigger impact when you do both at the same time.
Yeah, when you make political hacking funny.
Yep.
I mean, it went from let's just piss off a load of people and take a shit in somebody's Cheerios, basically. When we dropped a bunch of data from one or two places, then it was, it escalated, and it escalated into something political quite fast. And then the whole anti-sec thing kicked off, which was more vocally political. And that was when, it really changed.
Yep. There you go. I suppose the big question with that being the setup then is, do you feel like, although obviously it did all get cracked by an informant, fuck to Hector, that it did end up falling apart, but do you feel like there was an impact made and that some wrongs were righted during the process? Oh, sorry. Has audio gone a bit? I'll repeat that. So I was saying, obviously, the kind of whole informant situation and fuck to Hector with his involvement in kind of it falling apart. But do you feel like there was some rights wrong during the process, and like things like Citibank and the CIA and HB Gary being involved together, then being exposed, was something that you did manage to make a positive impact over, even though it all obviously kind of came to an end not long after?
So I think there was some positive impacts. The positive impacts happened at the time. The biggest positive impact was most positively impacted were cat scum that we professed to dislike.
Yeah.
Because those motherfuckers were lining their pockets off the back of us. It raised security awareness for companies. Nobody wanted to be the next Sony.
Yeah.
On the website, has Sony even hacked this week.com? From the amount of times Sony were getting databases dropped left, right, and center. The next core bastard company tweeted by us with a pastebin link. I think for a time it might have actually improved, directly caused security to improve in general, like bugs that we used to break into a shitload of stuff back then.
Yep.
Barely exist anymore. They're dead bugs now. You don't find them. So we had an impact for the
wider security ecosystem.
Like for citizens, I guess.
Yeah.
They were probably positively impacted by websites stepping up their game.
Yep. I think that makes sense. No, I'd agree. I mean, I think like you mentioned, sort of just things like the fact that a lot of the popping at that time was things like SQL injection, and that is now kind of generally frowned upon if anyone does get popped by SQL injection, then like you're probably not going to be covered by your insurance, and to some extent you embarrassing and exposing some of the companies via that means contributed to kind of getting things that way.
So SQL injection is still a big thing because developers just don't fucking learn.
Yeah.
It's what was like higher remote file inclusion bug class, which we use to shell literally shitloads of things. I never see that anymore. You know, you see it here and there the odd time, but it's not as it once was.
Is that because people have built automated tools for checking some of that stuff so that you don't have to rely on developers to get the stuff right?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, that everything that was vulnerable to it got owned. So I think lessons were learned the hard way.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple to automate scanning for, and same with the field fruit. I think a lot of people finally realized. Well, actually, they didn't. But a lot of people started thinking about the fact that you need to like fucking passwords. That you can't store everything in plain text. A fair few of our victims got quite embarrassed that way.
Yep.
There was also, I think, journalists got a lot of good out of, say, like the H.B. Gary mail dump. Also, some other dumps had, there was public interest material in them and not just comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's a good example of that other than the sort of CIA H.B. Gary plan to target Glenn Greenwald? Is there some other, like...
So there was... I think it was... I'm trying to remember now. It was way earlier. There was some law firm that was... This is like way, way, way back. That... I can't remember their fucking name, but the lawyers involved got disbarred. We've caught you downloading porn, pay us £500 threat letters.
Oh, right,
They're doing copyright enforcement stuff. It was during when they were being denial of service. They did something stupid. Backups ended up on the internet, and then their backups ended up everywhere else on the internet.
Right.
And that seems to have led to another positive impact. Actually, is Cloudflare famous.
I might have to get you to repeat that. Something about Cloudflare? You said another positive impact?
I mean, Cloudflare probably fucking owe us, because put our site behind Cloudflare, and they made a lot of... they use that as a big PR thing.
Right, okay, I see.
They used it as like, oh, well, we're defending freedom of speech. If we let these fucking hackers use our protection...
Jesus. They bitch and moan about you the rest of the time, unless you're a customer. Yeah. Fair enough. That's a funny one. I was going to show one thing on the stream, which is kind of fun, and again, to do with moddable kind of hackable devices. So we've got like the soda machine here, like the kind of vending machine type thing. We SSH into the back of that, and we can power that on and change the mechanism for us and test the vending mechanism, and it will start spitting cans out, which... Oh, it's only spit one out. I'll try that again. But again, like, all the devices can be hackable and set up to do, like, if you're modding, you can set up your own particle animations and sounds and varying things. So, like, if there is a vulnerable IoT device out there that you think would be funny to recreate in off-grid, it can be done. Mm-hmm. I think you were at the talk I gave at Shah, actually, where we took Scott Helm's Nissan Leaf electric car example where he basically found that JSON string that was being passed to the servers that he could drop certain fields out of and get it to return the values that had been dropped.
Oh shit, I remember that, yeah.
And so essentially he could turn the battery on and off and turn the air conditioning on and off, and it was all because the only piece of auth really required was the VIN number, which is essentially a serial number that cars have to legally display in their dash. So you could own a car by going up to it, looking in the windscreen, taking a copy of the VIN number, and then knowing the right place to send this JSON line to. And so like we basically used that the modding toolset in Off Grid to replicate that and make a little hackable car where you scan the VIN number off of the car and then you push that at the car and it tells you the username, and then you combine the two pieces of data in order to SSH into it. And then you could open the doors and get into the car, and it was a security guard's car, so you could scan his key card from there and go from there. So on the vending machine, we can set it to fire a load of cans, and they'll collide with the guards, or they can be set up to trigger motion detectors or whatever else. So you can fairly quickly use those to create noise and distract a guard. He's going to run over to that. Oh, he spotted me. So yeah, that gives an impression of how the device. Yeah, I think I've gotten away actually. I think I have. That gives a basic impression of how the hackable devices and stuff work in the game. I think probably I'll leave the game there, and we can probably wrap up because I know you've got to get away. In fact, because
you have to.
You got to go and get some food. So I will probably leave that there. So I was going to see if in the doesn't look like we've got any questions in the Discord. I guess one of the questions I've got is like, what now motivates you to be in kind of the hacking culture world? Like, obviously work, but do you still have the same excitement around popping boxes from when you were describing kind of the early days of you getting into stuff, or is it what's your main excitement around it now?
Bored of popping boxes.
You'll never get bored of popping boxes. Is that what you said?
Yeah. It just be for the whole family to enjoy. Something quite rewarding about root shells everywhere. I do it for work because bills and stuff, but
yep.
If we're doing shit outside of work is fun.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's something to do.
Fair enough.
It's constant challenges and shit.
Bloody hell,
yeah.
It's kind of hard to describe, really.
I think I'm going to get caught, so I think this is a good place to end the game. There we go. So the thing I was going to also say is one of the reasons that you and I chatted about doing a stream was to actually play some other hacking games at some point as well. So I suppose I was just going to let folks know that, we'll hopefully be back with some more streams with Darren, or at Infodocs on Twitter if you want to find him on that particular platform. Let's transition over here to that. There we go. And we'll be back playing some classic hacker games like Uplink. You played Uplink back in the day, I assume?
Oh fuck, that takes me back.
So I think we'll both take a stroll down memory lane in Uplink and chat about that. And maybe if people have got some suggestions in the chat or in the Discord, we can look at some other things. There's some more recent versions like Hacknet, which is like a modern Uplink, but I don't think anything will quite. I don't think anything will ever match up to the Uplink experience in that sense. If you're talking about that kind of clicky sort of pseudo desktop set of mechanics, there'll only ever be one Uplink in my mind.
Oh yeah, I mean they can't change what's already perfect, right?
There you go. And I think the other ones I think would be fun to play maybe together and have a look at are Exapunks, which is the newest one by Zachtronics, which is you kind of write assembly code assembler to set up these little bots that are technically network bots, and you have to get them to automate different tasks. And you play a character who's got some terrible disease where, in order to pay for healthcare, you have to hack a lot. So I think that one might be a bit of fun for us to play. So yeah, we'll definitely be getting Darren back on the stream, and hopefully we'll find a way for my broadband to handle it a little better. I've got a sneaking suspicion it's because I'm recording the stream at the same time as actually streaming it. So I'll do some tests there as well.